round of the Winfield Cup of 91, and the Raiders and the Saints go down to the wire.
Down to the wire indeed. In fact, this finish is going to be witnessed by a near-record crowd here at the Bruce Stadium in Canberra. It is sudden death football at its best between these two great teams who have had interesting seasons. And beautiful conditions here for this last round match. It's cool, as you would expect in Canberra, but nice and clear skies and this great crowd on hand. As I said, well, what a performance from both sides, and what a finish to the Winfield Cup of 1991, where we have our last match of the round set up, with both these teams needing to win. St George just out of the 5 on 25, Canberra just out of the 5 on 26 points. If they lose here today, that is the end of their season. And for both the sides, well, there were some fitness clouds, some injury worries for both teams going into this match. Canberra, well, a star-studded lineup, especially out in the backs. Belcher, Martin, Meninga, Bell, Mullins, Daly, Stewart, Clyde, Coyne, Barnhill, Fritz, Walters, Todd. Their coach is Tim Sheens. On the fresh reserve bench today, Jason Gregory and Matthew Baker. For St George, they had some injury concerns as well, but as we see them nice and settled, not too many nerves in that dressing room at the moment. The cloud has lifted over the likes of Afire and also Scott Goulet. Potters at fullback, Walford, Coyne, Beattie, Afire, Coyne, Hodges, Hardy, Goulet, Gill, McBean, Collins, Osborne. The coach is Brian Smith, and plenty of experience. Two extra good players this year for the Saints on the reserves bench, Matthew Elliott and Neil Tierney. Meninga leads out this Canberra side. They are still the premiers. They remain that way if they can produce the win here today. A loss and the defence is gone, but their form in recent weeks has been quite brilliant. What a season for their captain, Mal Meninga, the Australian skipper as well. Laurie Daly was concerned about an ankle problem, but takes his place at 5'8". But St George are not finished with this 1991 season. They have been consistent throughout. It has only been some tough encounters in the last few weeks that have caused them any problems as far as the semis are concerned. Their black Porsches are there on the wing, Walford and O'Fire. Given a chance, they could put the Raiders away. Great sight here at the Bruce Stadium, the referee, the man considered to be number 1, Mr. Bill Harrigan. In round 7 this year, these two sides came together. 28-12, that win for the Canberra Raiders over the Saints. And the Raiders certainly have produced a better attacking record, although so too have St George this year, and with a much better defence than the Premiers. Collins, the key man for St George, back at dummy half and up against his old club, Canberra. They've been missing him in this role here, directing the traffic as far as the St George attack is concerned. Gill in the back row for the Saints, a man who can stand and unload. He could be dangerous down a blind side. Osborne trying to step out of a couple of tackles. Penalty comes. He was trying to get to his feet to play it. He was caught by the ankle, and Harrigan, with this penalty, will help St George get downfield.
Yeah, Osborne here trying to get to his feet quickly, interrupted somewhat by Bradley Clyde, and that has resulted in a penalty. And St George need to start well in this match. They've given away starts in their past couple of encounters. They can show they can come back in the second half, but they can't afford to give Canberra some leniency in this early half, first half.
Interesting, the battle up the middle. McBean pushed back 40 metres out from the Canberra line. Osborne looking for another hit up. He bounced Clyde out of the way. The ball comes clear, but it falls backwards for Wayne Collins. Hardy from dummy half. Good running from there. There was a slight gap on the fringe of the ruck there for Gill. Another penalty. Again for a similar occurrence. Meninga wanders in to ask the question from Harrigan. A couple of the Raiders asked the question there to the referee. Gill was trying to kick himself clear. Didn't clearly show just who was around the ankles there.
The rule states you must release the tackle player immediately. That wasn't the case then. Maybe it was a little tough in terms of the time frame that he was giving Todd to get off, but Harrigan was right in the end by penalising him.
Billy Harrigan Will he be back to control another grand final this year?
He's coming good at the right time, Graham. He went through a bit of a form slump a little earlier, but he's definitely the #1 referee at the moment.
Walford with 53 from 91 this year, a percentage of 58.24. Looking for the first points in this MMI big game. He grabs them. St George put their nose in front. Early days, 2-0. Tim Sheen's hidden behind the glass, the Canberra coach. Looks on from the coach's box. Meninga with his restart. And I would think Billy Anderson sidelines some perfect conditions.
Terrific conditions for football, Graham, although there is a fairly strong breeze gusting in from the south. St George won the toss and elected to run into it, so Stewart gets first use in the first 40 minutes.
What's your key for this game overall?
Well, there are a lot of key points, but I really think the thing that stands out is that Canberra have players who are big occasion players, and there's no bigger occasion than this except the Sydney Football Stadium in September.
Hardy trying to get to the inside of Bradley Clyde.
Yeah, this game amounts to a virtual grand final, and the hard grind of knockout football is something that is a lot different to week in, week out football, and as Billy pointed out, Canberra's well in front in that area.
Good chasing from St George. Martin off his wing. Todd. Ball was stolen very clearly by Peter Gill.
Yeah, the players still tend to forget about this new rule. It's something that players have been doing for an eternity, ripping balls out of tackles quite legally, but this new rule now means that that's going to be penalised.
Well, that's crazy after a call like that was so clear. Somebody at the St George camp still had something to say to the referee. He marched them another 10.
With this breeze, Stewart could kick this to Queen Bian if he had to. Oh, well, Meninga taking the kick, and I think that indicates that there is a problem with Stewart's leg, because there's no doubt that he's the best line kicker in their team.
Exactly right, Bill.
And going into this match, once again, Ricky Stewart has had painkillers on that groin problem. He's had painkillers for the past 8 or 9 matches just to get on the field. So he's shown a lot of courage just to take the field.
Wayne, that's the wild card for Canberra. A couple of players carrying injuries like Daly and Stewart. It's a matter of whether they can go the distance.
Well, Ricky Stewart and Wayne Collins, former teammates, former clubmates here at Canberra. Out of nothing, there was a little exchange here that thankfully didn't blow right up.
Yeah, plenty of tension in this match. That was something that was not needed. A minor altercation that could have easily have blown up by other players coming in. As we can see here, a bit of a backhander there from Fritz on Collins. Ricky Stewart comes in to offer some support, but there's no need for that.
Just a gentle right from Ricky Stewart to try and get proceedings marching along. Harrigan had already pinched St George for being inside the 10 before the tap restart. That penalty will stay with Canberra.
It was a point scoring right too, Brian.
Point scoring. He's ahead on points. There's still plenty of rounds to go.
Long way to go.
Brian Smith, the St George coach, from up the back of the grandstand. Meninga takes his time. With this going down to the wire, early goals could be vital. Meninga with an easy chance. He sprays it. So St George maintain the lead, 2-0 over Canberra.
Yeah, that wasn't a real difficult kick either. Won't do Mal's confidence the world of good. And whilst he hasn't kicked all that well for much of the season, the last couple of weeks he's certainly run into a bit more form.
As has this man, Bradley Clyde. Right on halfway. Steve Walters from dummy half. Meninga up the middle. Looking for a run. Takes on the St George pack. Stewart looking for some runners inside and out. The defence was up smartly. Todd nearly putting pressure on Steve Walters there at the play of the ball. He was up early in that advantage area, and the pass was nearly forward. Daly waiting the kick for the outside backs. Potter. St George go back to their 22. The Raiders have won 7 matches at home out of 10. St George have won 4, drawn 3, lost 2 away. The reserve grade, Canberra, I should say, 30-8 over the Saints. It was reversed in the President's Cup, 24-6. The Saints, of course, pondering about what those 4 draws could have meant to the semi-finals this year.
Yeah, they've had a lot of games, not only the draws, but they've had a couple of games that they've only lost by a couple of points. And it's always the case at this time of the year. You can reflect on lost opportunities, and I'm sure that's crossing the mind of Coach Brian Smith at the moment. Graham, he'll be hoping it won't cost him a semi-final spot.
Graham Gill coming off with a bad head cut. Elliott goes on.
So Peter Gill back for some stitches. Stewart not happy with the tunnel as he speaks to Bill Harrigan. Still comes back nicely for Canberra. Daly. Quick hands to Belcher into the back line out wide for Bell. Bell tried to get Mullins started, but Walford confidently showed him the sideline. Clyde. He was over quickly from the scrum. Saints not quite inside the 5, or outside the 5, I should say. Harrigan is keeping a close eye on them.
Yeah, both teams stretching Bill Harrigan's patience at the moment, and obviously concerned about the attacking potential of the of each opposite side.
That's what you've got to do when you're playing Canberra. You've got to be up and at them for the whole 80 minutes.
Stewart. Potter coming across. To Walford. Chased and put down by Bradley Clyde. Beattie, head down. 2-0, the Saints lead. St George haven't beaten the Raiders since 1985. Osborne. Heavy hits coming in on Osborne from Coyne and Meninga.
And Paul Osborne's another player that's carried an injury into this match. He's got a serious foot problem, which required a pain-killing injection before the game as well. So there's a host of players out there in the paddock that, under normal circumstances, may not be playing.
Hodges just got this kick to hang up in the breeze, very close to the line, just one bounce. Left alone by Belcher.
More a case of good luck than good management, that one.
Meninga. Taken low by Peter Coyne. Quick switch from the Raiders to Coyne. Gary Coyne.
Plenty of coins on display out there today.
2 against 1. Stewart to the back line, and Bradley Clyde very wide. Fritz. Daly at the moment happy to just keep providing the service to outside men. Belcher with the kick on the last tackle. Brilliantly taken by Potter. Gets away from Todd. He's been in stunning form late in the season, Potter. A former Dally M winner. He's a chance for everything this year, Dally M and Rothmans.
Yeah, plenty of Rothmans hopefuls on display out there today, including Michael Potter, Steve Walters, Stewart, Meninga, probably even Goulet. So there's some talent, hot talent, participating and vying for that award out there today.
Collins and Stewart again lock horns. Stewart finishing off over the top, and he has plenty to say. Peter Coyne, the kick in behind the backs, sitting up now, got away from Beattie. There was danger if it broke his way. Good comeback from Mullins. Put down by Beattie. Beattie in with a swinging arm. Harrigan was there on the spot.
Yeah, that was a great tactic, that kick through the back there. It found open space. There were 4 or 5 St George players coming through, but as we can see here, there was a pretty solid tackle there from Beattie. He was a bit angry he didn't receive the ball or get the ball after that kick through, but that was unnecessary from the George skipper.
The frustration cost his side a penalty. The right tactics, though, Bill, coming from the Saints, getting in behind the Raiders.
Well, the Raiders' defensive line's coming up pretty quickly, and St George, who are electing to play them in the forwards, were finding no way through. So the little kick was something that Canberra are going to have to think about.
This massive crowd sets up their roar for the Raiders as they go inside the 22. Switching play everywhere. Stewart, Clyde up the middle. 10 metres out. Stewart linking with his man. Beautiful hands from Daly. Exceptional pass. The speed of that pass helped to erupt this Bruce Stadium, and the try for Bell.
Yeah, put this one down to Ricky Stewart, who floated around from the open side to the blind side. On our MMI replay, we can see the ball goes out. Laurie Daly, quick hands, beautiful hands out here to Bell, and he went over despite a desperate attempted tackle.
Canberra have got a marvellous ability to catch and pass, and they can create numbers on your out wide. No better example of it than that marvellous catching and passing onto Bell, and he goes across in the corner.
He got up smiling. No doubt he would have wanted to wander over and thank Laurie Daly for the beautiful ball. 7 tries for Bell this season. Unsuccessful with his first attempt. Right out on the sideline, Meninga. The roar will tell the story, one way or the other. Already the big skipper has worked up a sweat for his side. The disappointment from the crowd tells. But the Raiders grab the lead on our MMI big game, 4-2. Tim Sheen's getting hungry with that big lead. That's a bad habit of his that we've caught this year. And look at this crowd here at the Bruce Stadium. There is a second hill out the back of this ground that still is packed. No seats left vacant whatsoever. Martin. Right on their own 22, the Raiders. Here where they won last year as well against St George, 26-10.
St George have been trying very hard to nullify Canberra's kicking game, and let's see what they do late here in the tackle count.
Clyde, there's a man left over here. Bell had Mullins unmarked, but he tried to throw the dummies on Walford. Here's the pressure to the kick. They have to use up Belcher.
And that's a good option too, having that Gary Belcher standing outside Ricky Stewart, because whilst it's easy to lock down one player, when you've got an option kicker such as Belcher and the ball's being passed to him, it gives your runners a lot more time to get down and put pressure on the receiver.
McBean. Interesting to see how Brian Smith uses his reserves. Elliott already being used up early with Gill with that blood bit, and also Neil Tierney. Hodges inside to Hardy. It was telegraphed. No holds up the middle. And a little knock on against the Saints. A chance for a further roll on here for the Raiders.
Once again, Graham, St George turning the ball inside, trying to plug away up the middle, hoping to find a gap, but we couldn't really see it there. But Jeff Hardy obviously losing the ball in that tackle.
Daly to Belcher. Running some crisscross and dummy runners there for Belcher, but the Saints defence stayed on the fullback. Clyde. Such a big man. He is so fit and covers so much territory.
Yeah, he mixes his game up so well. He does the hard yardage inside, makes the hard runs, and gets out wide, floats on the blind side or on the open side. He's a superb athlete and a great player.
The Raiders looking good out wide. Bell. Good tackle from Collins low. Last tackle against the Raiders. Daly across the field to Walford's wing. Taken low by Clyde. 4-2 to the Raiders.
Very tight game at the moment. Both sides not prepared to open up, not giving each other much room to move at all. But as the game unfolds, as the injuries start to take their toll on these players who have taken injuries into the match, I'm sure we'll see a lot more space and a lot more movement of the ball.
Fire. to Elliott. Just manages to get it inside the Canberra half. Down the blind side, raiding away. Osborne. Taken out of the air by Gary Coyne. Quickly they go wide. Stewart forced back up the middle. Good reading of play there from Peter Coyne. Now Daly getting more involved. Clyde. Good head-on tackle from Mark Coyne. Steve Walters, it's almost like the Raiders are trying to look for another gear.
Yeah, that's Canberra's strength. As soon as they think they've got you a little bit busted or your defence is starting to be found wanting, they'll have a shot at you out wide. They can probe from anywhere.
Last tackle. Meninga a dummy half. Stewart to Daly. He and Belcher providing the kicking game for the Raiders so far. Ball bouncing away from Potter. A fire. Nowhere for him to go.
And the Fire pretty keen to score a try as well. He hasn't scored for about 6 weeks after coming into the competition from England in a blaze of glory. He scored 11 tries in as many weeks, but he's desperately hungry for a try. But he's also carrying an injury into the match as well, a groin injury. So there's very few players out there who are 100% fit.
Now St George are incredibly grouped together. No back line whatsoever. Nearly the entire side around the play-the-ball area.
What that tells us is they're trying to go through the Raiders, not around them.
It's not working at the moment. Now Bill Harrigan is calling somebody out. Todd's coming over. He looks surprised that it was he that was called over.
Yeah, I didn't see too much in this tackle here. A little bit high. Big Vane taking the ball up a little bit high, and as a result, a penalty goes to St George.
And Walford will have a think about goal, although he's into this slight breeze.
Yeah, pretty brave effort this by Ricky Walford, because not only have you got to consider if you can kick the ball straight, you've also got to consider whether you can kick the ball dead. And into this breeze, that's a tough assignment.
And the breeze just starting to pick up a little bit. This is the look from the other side of the post. Just off centre, as we said. The life of a goal kicker can be a tough one. 1 from 1 for Walford. As we said, he had the chance last week to give them a shot at a playoff situation. Now he's got 2 early goals here. Hanging up. He doesn't put it dead. Belcher brings it back. He beats a fire. And he's taken 8 metres out. The score remains 4-2 to Canberra.
And what that effectively has done, Graham, has taken all of the pressure off, because with this breeze at their back now, Canberra can play out 4 or 5 unless they make a mistake, and should be able to get the ball back in the St George quarter. I'd have kept the pressure on.
We'll keep the pressure on over the next few weeks too. Don't forget, 10 Sport, as we see a penalty come to Canberra for the Saints inside the 5. We'll take you right through the semi-series. You will see the full matches every moment as they unfold. Saturday and Sunday, 6:30 to 8:30 right here on 10.
And one of these teams will be going on to play in those upcoming matches. The other team will drop out, and we're not getting much idea at this early stage as to which team that will be, because both teams evenly matched early on.
Peter Gill on the sideline, ready to get back into the fray.
Quick hands again from Daly to Bell, likewise for Martin. Extra keen to get it to the wings. Gary Coyne gets the ball to Steve Walters. Couple of missed tackles from the Saints. You can't afford to drop off against this side. Bradley Clyde. Martin tried to half volley it, but he knocks on. Saints need to play with the ball. Soak up some more time and recover. Regroup. Hodges. Nobody on his outside. McBean to do some hard work.
But he can't afford to run on his own as well. He's running into a brick wall there. They've got to support one another a little bit better.
Osborne. The Raiders have the scrums 3-1. Collins. Some important meters just out of dummy half. One more left. Peter Coyne with the kick. Trying to get it in behind Brett Mullins. Break the tackle of Hardy.
Yeah, it's been a pretty ordinary chasing game from St George so far in this match. They're running down in ones and twos. Against Canberra, you've got to run down in 5s and 6s to try and block out the likes of Martin and Belcher, who are going to be running the ball back.
Yeah, those first-up tackles are vital. I always thought when I was coaching that first-up tackle was worth 2.
The danger signs are there, Bill, dropping off some tackles in the last few minutes. The Saints are getting caught again inside the 5.
Yeah, they're letting Canberra do things a little bit too quickly for them, and Canberra, when they get that roll on, then they can start to express their attack.
Daly, extra keen to get restarted. Osborne tried to slow him down. Now Meninga will put it down near the 22. And the home crowd sets up the roar again. Fritz flies onto it. Very much an unsung hero for the Raiders in recent weeks. Gary Coyne, quick hands for Barnhill. Much better support play amongst the Canberra forwards. Stewart, inside to Meninga. The Saints with a desperate set of 6 here. Barnhill, again they get the short passes off the forwards. This time it's the backline's call. Daly. Bell. Nearly to the outside of his man, but a good covering tackle from Peter Coyne. Last tackle. Fritz went without it. Daly linking up with Clyde. Too strong. No. They did well to hang on here, the Saints. Clyde was just trying to roll over, but they got underneath him.
Yeah, that was a tremendous effort from Paul Osborne here, but Bradley Clyde on the burst, 16.5 stone. He's a very tough man to try and hold up, but Paul Osborne very, very strong. He did extremely well. There's no doubt that he didn't get the ball down.
Yes, St George are finding it hard working the ball out of their own quarter, but I've just got my eye on Ricky Stewart here, and he seems to be favouring that leg fairly considerably at the moment, and if he was to go off, that'd even the scales up a fair bit.
Hardy. He also got there to assist Osborne. Now Beattie. Goulet. Only the 2 points in this MMI big game. Hodges cross kicks for the sideline and finds it well.
Yeah, the Dragons know that if they can hang in this game through until half-time, they've got a strong breeze at their back, or a strengthening breeze at their back in the second half, and they know that they can traditionally come home stronger in the second half, so they could well, plenty of
Matthew Elliott's cut now. He went on to replace Gill.
Yeah, problems for the St George side there, but despite the injury problems, if they can hang together till half-time, I've no doubt that they'll be well and truly in this match come full-time.
Hit there that the ball was lost in that tackle. Penalties again.
Bill Harrigan's keeping the crowd happy anyhow.
Osborne shook his head, but he was told that he was, I think the ruling was that he wasn't directly in front of the man playing the ball. Once more they go on the attack, the Raiders. Got the penalties 2-1.
Having plenty of opportunity to try their set plays out.
Fritz. Over the top was Gill. Stewart. Meninga bus 1, bus 2. Very wide pass from Stewart to Daly. Now Bell to Mullins. Mullins brushed off Walford. What a fine try. Walford showed him the sideline. He thought he had him for pace, but nobody counted on one of the best bends of 1991.
And this try started once again with his long pass from Ricky Stewart. Gets outside 3 St George players. Another long pass from Laurie Daly. The MMI replay will see Mullins here down the sideline. Now, he's the quickest player in the Canberra side. There's no way you can afford to let him get on the outside of you. That's what the fatal mistake that Ricky Walford made, and he goes over for the try.
Canberra electing to go around the St George defence. They're pretty compacted and they've got the passing game that can do it. Now, young Brett Mullins, I remember his dad when he played with Eastern Suburbs, and this is a touch of deja vu. How many times did Phil Mullins do this? Swap the ball into the other hand, use the fin, push off the cover defence and go around to improve his position. Well done.
Yeah, you called it spot on, Bill. Turning back the clock there a lot of years. Happy young man who gets his second try of 91. No goals from Meninga so far. Fairly adjacent to the posts, his third attempt. Looking for a confidence builder, he doesn't get it. Very much keeping St George well and truly alive. The Raiders 8, the Saints 2. The crowd don't mind it down here in the nation's capital, as long as that sun's out. Snow around the outskirts.
St George making every effort to continue to take Canberra on in the forwards by using this interchange. Neil Tierney about to go on and continue the assault. McBean comes off.
So Tierney out there, I was about to say, plenty of snow on the outskirts down here during the week.
But the problem St George are running into is out wide, the defence out wide. That long pass from Ricky Stewart's getting outside 3 and 4 defenders, and they're invariably getting outside the whole back line with their wingers getting an overlap.
The confidence of this Canberra team was shown in that run from Darren Fritz, the way he took it to the line. Now Gary Coyne takes over. Todd ran to the line confidently because they're running in twos. Meninga was on his outside, giving the defence something to think about.
Very tough to play against Canberra. They've got so many options in their attack. They've got players like Walters that can skirt out of dummy half, and then Barnhill and Clyde on the edges of the ruck. And when you get a bit wider, you've got to contend with the likes of Daly and Meninga and so on. It's a really tough call to try and defend against their total line.
Now Gill gets an intercept and a chance for St George. Calling for the ball, but they couldn't get it to him. The Saints nearly struck back. Michael Beattie sums it up.
Yeah, I don't think Michael Beattie knew here that, well, he was great support player. I don't think he knew he had the Canberra defender, which is Paul Martin, on his shoulder there, because obviously Martin the Flyer was in the clear if he couldn't get the ball.
Daly took this pass beautifully around his ankles, breaks a tackle, gets it to Bell. More penalties.
Yeah, St George learning the hard way, Graham. I mean, they've given away a lot of penalties in that marker area, and also for inside the 5 metres. They've got to try and either get square in the marker area or get back an extra yard in defence. Otherwise, they're going to be penalised out of this game.
Well, there's the St George line now waiting for this next set of 6. Fritz. What a handful he is so far. Todd. 58 tackles overall. They have the advantage, the Raiders. The opposition half again, it is a big advantage.
And put that down to the penalty count against them, which is overwhelming.
Stewart, only one man outside him, about 25 metres away. It's Paul Martin. This time Stewart will bring it back to the rest of the team. Daly with the kick. Looks to be too strong. It will be back to the 22. Looking for one of the corner pockets. Looking to probably try and keep this just in play. Too much of a roll for Daly. But they'll be happy to have the Saints back on their own quarter.
The Dragons dawdling back, obviously looking to regroup, get set, and try and take this Canberra side on with good constructive football up the middle. I mean, they've made too many errors. That's why they're behind on the scoreboard.
That was a good run from Tierney. And another one follows from Osborne. A dozen tackles the Saints have missed. Only the 4 from Canberra. Peter Coyne showed the ball up the middle. Good play to Hardy. Much better play from St George. Potter trying to ignite this side by staying up in the line. Peter Coyne to Gill. Trying to get it back over the top. They spray it. Picked up by Clyde.
Yeah, they didn't need that to put at the end on what was a pretty good set of play, but it showed that if you persist away and you keep hammering up the middle, you're going to find some breaks with that inside pass.
And Peter Coyne, the chief destroyer, he's made a couple of good breaks in the past few moments. He's the key man for St George in attack and defence. In attack, he's making the breaks. In defence, he's putting plenty of pressure on Ricky Stewart.
Stewart now to Fritz. 8-2 to Canberra. 2 tries. Stewart spins it out for Meninga to put it along the deck. He says to St George, let's go back to the 22 with about 4 minutes remaining.
Well, St George really don't need to take any risks here. The temptation, if they win this scrum, which they should do, is to throw the ball around and try and put a try on the board before half-time. But in so doing, they're likely to create drop balls and give Canberra possession, which they don't want and can't afford.
Potter, he was standing wide from the scrum. Then the long ball from Hodges to find him. Hodges gets it to Goulet. There's been some strong runs from the Saints forwards, but they have been a little one out. Now, Beattie out wide. They fumble once more. The Raiders put it down. The Saints will have the feed.
But that was a risky pass, which I finished saying that they can't afford to push past it just before half-time. They pushed it. Fortunately for St George, Steve Waller's knocked the ball on, and they'll get the feed.
Mark Coyne. Inside the last 3 minutes. Saints get a penalty. They will finish this 40, you would think, putting the pressure on the Raiders. The time is right. Coyne was trying to get up quickly. He got a push in the back.
And 4 marks to Bill Harrigan so far in this match. He's not tolerating any lying around in the play the ball, nor offside play. He's trying to keep the sides apart for a fast, open game.
Potter on the inside of that Beattie ball. They keep it going the same way. Osborne puts it down. They let the Raiders off the hook. So St George can't quite get their game together.
Yeah, I don't know whether that comes back to nerves, Graham, or not, but there's no doubt that Canberra are much cooler under this pressure situation.
That showed there. As Clyde looked on the inside, he didn't need to force the ball. Barthill hits it up. Stewart on the inside to Gary Coyne. Gary Coyne back to Clyde. Nearly out to the halfway line. Daly, a short ball and a great one to Bell. Bell scoots away. Belcher's there. If Belcher had been able to get that back to Bell, there was trouble. There's still trouble. Harrigan gives the penalty for a real mess in the play the ball against Osborne. It was a tough call, this one. I think he was trying to play the advantage as long as possible. Now he gets 10 minutes, Osborne, for deliberately staying involved in that play the ball area.
And that could be critical for the Saints because Canberra, with 13 players on the paddock, Canberra still getting outside of St George. Imagine what they'll do with 12 on the paddock, but you can see here there's plenty of involvement there from Paul Osborne, who was offside and also impeded the play the ball.
I think the Raiders really just wanted to keep on with the ball, stay on the attack. The crowd let Osborne know what they think of him.
In the days before the sin bin, that was probably worth a try. It saved 4 points and could have cost them 2, but with the advent of the sin bin, you take a huge risk.
Meninga not happy after missing his 3 attempts. He hands this one over to Gary Belcher, who has 4 goals in 91, a season for the Australian fullback. who has lost his spot this year, very much interrupted by injury. Can he grab two before the break? Yes, he can. And with time up here in this absolutely crucial game, the defending champs are still online. They look as though they're heading to the semi-finals. The Saints will still have a big say. It is 10-2. Bruce Stadium today with this performance from their side. The Canberra Raiders in the first half. Very confident indeed. 10-2 they lead at the break. And all the problems, as we still think about semi-finals, lie with the St George coach, Brian Smith. His side has been guilty of coughing up the ball. Looks as though he might even be trying to show that to them here in the dressing room about trying to control it to keep the pressure on. But it certainly is difficult to keep on playing without being at full strength. And that has been the case with St George going into this one, Billy Anderson.
Yeah, that's right, Graham. I feel like a dwarf every week. Last week it was Tony Iro. Today it's Tony Priddle. They're pretty tall fellas. But, Tony, I believe there's some good news for you. Graham just mentioned the fact that you've been out with injury, but what's the report?
Well, I've just medial ligament tear, and I should be right for next week.
Well, that's great news. There's a pretty strong wind here. You are down by 10 points to 2, but is that as bad as it looks on the scoreboard in light of the fact you're going to be coming with a breeze in the second stanza?
Well, St George always come back in the second half, so I don't think it's much of a problem at the moment.
OK, well, it's not a problem for you. It's a little bit of a problem for Brian Smith. I'll let you go back there and enjoy the second half and keep yourself warm.
I'll have to, mate. Thanks a lot.
The shadow's really starting to lengthen now. It was the Saints who made the most tackles in the first half with 91. Collins with a dozen, Goulet with 11. Todd with 13 and Coyne with 12 for the Raiders out of 78. Tierney is still out there for McBean. That was made just before half-time, that change. Harrigan gets us underway. Peter Coyne with the kickoff. Darren Fritz. He was another Raider who took the ball up well in the first half. Steve Walters from dummy half. Nearly snuck away. Stewart to Todd. Amongst the forwards. And he is 32 metres out from his own line.
It's absolutely vital. There's the hit-ups here. Plenty of work from the forwards. Todd leading the hit-ups for Canberra. McBean for St George. But absolutely vital here that St George get good field position in the next 8 or 9 minutes while Paul Osborne's off the field. Because if Canberra get in an attacking situation and they're given possession, they'll put plenty of points on the board.
Potter had to chase this one back. It fell into the hands of Hodges. Hodges is just short of his own halfway. What was said at half-time, Bill?
Well, Brian Smith gave the penalty count a priority mention, as you can imagine, and the Saints are going to try and slow the game down a little bit while Osborne's off the field. But Brian Smith wants them to use the wind, and he also stressed the importance of being next scorers. Now, Timmy Sheens, he just wanted more of the same thing, plenty of ball movement. If that's the case, let's sit back and enjoy it.
Well, the St George fans won't. Wade Collins trying to get out of dummy half. The penalties heavily favour the Raiders. He was strong on St George around the play of the ball and also the 5 metres. Last tackle against the Saints. Peter Coyne, just a little grubber behind the line. Some real courage there from Mullins. But again, that short kick from Coyne nearly caught them out.
Yeah, it was a good kick. It could have bounced anywhere. It was along the ground. Great tactics. Brett Mullins came in from his wing, put his body on the line and came up with the ball.
Meninga.
He just gets stronger as he gets older, I think. Invariably, when he runs, it takes 2 or 3 defenders to try and pull him down.
This is where they're getting the roll on. A quick play of the balls. Steve Walters had picked up an easy dozen metres there. Now Daly's skipping away from a couple. Plenty of time to get the kick in. Down for Potter. Potter will be one man that Brian Smith and the St George fans will be hoping will ignite this St George side. Here's another Walford.
There's no doubt St George will fight tooth and nail in this second half. As Tony Priddle pointed out at half-time, they have a tradition of coming back in the second half. This game's not beyond them yet because that is a very strong breeze, and if they can control possession, keep their penalty count down, then they'll be in with a big chance.
It's early tackles. Do they go for the kick or do they keep possession? Gill tries to use it. Well, that's what you can be guilty of in football, trying to use it for too many tackles and not using the breeze and being down the other end. Clyde to Stewart. The defence up quickly, but he read it. Over the head magnificently. Weighted over the head of Walford. Meninga just straight through Hodges. Brushes off Potter. Potter chases again, and he needs the assistance of Hodges and Tierney. The crowd loved it all, that run from Meninga. Daly. This is where the Saints have to put a stop to it. Stewart looks to have the numbers. Meninga. Back for Clyde. Shrugged off one tackle. That was a tackle from Hardy. Daly. Belcher. It went over the sideline, so the St George 12 hang on.
It was good defence by St George on the blind side there. They were outnumbered. Canberra had an extra man in terms of an overlap, but it was good cover defence there. Ricky Walford stayed on his man, and they killed the ball.
There is still just inside 5 minutes left before Osborne rejoins the fray.
The danger signs were there when Meninga elected to run on that occasion. I swear he blocked out the sun when he was running away from me.
Now it's Harrigan who calls play back and penalises Canberra for screwing the scrum.
Yeah, that was fortunate. It almost came out the back of the Canberra scrum, and Canberra could easily have picked that ball up and played on, but justifiably they were penalised for screwing the scrum.
Coyne. Fine kick with only that short angle from the 10-metre mark inside the sideline to get it down near halfway.
That's the easy way to get 45 metres.
Tierney. They need plenty of strong runs like that. Chicka Ferguson, one of the legends of the Canberra side, looking on.
Talking about a comeback next year with the Green Machine as well, at 38 years of age.
Or thereabouts.
Or something, yeah, that's what he admits to anyway.
Peter Coyne standing still, trying to get it to Goulet. Goulet had one arm free, looking for support on the inside. Collins. Much better from the Saints. 10-2. St George need the try. Peter Coyne cuts out a man. Mark Coyne beats one. Last tackle against the Saints. Will they go for the bomb? Coyne along the deck, off the hands of Steve Walters, but he got it back.
Yeah, that was good reflexes that there from Steve Walters. He was somewhat off balance, and he didn't have much time to react, but stuck the hand out, popped up in the air, and that was quite a good take.
A much better play by St George, a good set of six there. They've been doing some good things. They've been going forward, putting pressure on Canberra, but they've been then having bad ball control at the end of it, a rush of blood and letting them off the hook.
Clyde with a great ball to Gary Coyne. Coyne gets it to Bell. Bell beats Potter. Gets it to Paul Martin. Now the quick play of the ball, St George in tatters. Last tackle, Stewart. Keen to keep it alive, Meninga. Meninga will score. Not a hand on him. Under the black dot. He can run up onto the hill if he wants. They'd all love to lay their hands on him, the fans here. The skipper, the hero down in this nation's capital, gets the important try, the first one of the second half.
Yeah, Graham, on our MMI replay, we'll see plenty of St George players still struggling to get back onside there. Canberra reversed the pass back. Big Mel, a little bit of a jink, a good little right foot step for a big man of his size. He just rolls over for the easiest of tries, and that could well break St George's back.
Canberra had punched a few holes in them with success. He played the balls, but Ricky Stewart knew exactly where he wanted that ball to go. Mal Meninga called for it as he steamed upfield, got the reverse pass back from Stewart, took it, and then coasted in. Yeah, great work, Mal Meninga. Have a look at him there, and how pleased is he. Last week, it was the fist in the air. Today, he was happy just to turn around and talk to his teammates.
Now he grabs back the kicking duties from right in front.
Yeah, when you're not sure, give it to somebody else to take the hard ones.
Raiders is the chant as Meninga sets up right in front of the post. Just taken it back 11 metres. You couldn't get more in line with the black dot. Needs to get online. He needs some goals for his confidence for semi-finals. A couple of quick steps. He gets that one on the board. The Saints with a ton of work now. It is 16-2.
Osborne coming back now, but it's a little bit too late.
Meninga will make sure that the Raiders keep on going. The Saints will need something special. They still have the talent to climb back. Stewart.
There's plenty of great players in this Canberra side, but if there's a key man that stands out, it's Ricky Stewart. He's got a great organising game, a great long pass. He's got a great kicking game. He's the player that means more to this side than anybody else.
The Saints play on for Bell. Daly. His service, along with Stewart's, has been exceptional. Last tackle against Canberra. Meninga drags it in, puts it on the left foot, hooks it around. He can do no wrong. He might end up kicking for goal left-footed.
Maybe I was exaggerating when I said Ricky Stewart's out on his own. I think Mal Meninga's in the same sort of class as him as well. But I mean, it wasn't a bad effort, was it? Left footer, popped about a metre in from the line.
And he told all his teammates exactly where I wanted it.
Yeah, when you're hot Canberra on fire at the moment, but it then becomes the responsibility of the opposition. If the team you're playing's on fire, you've got to put it out.
Well, that's how you put the fire out, with good defence, but not so here. 20 missed tackles by the Saints.
Yeah, Saints can't afford to panic here. They've got to try and work the ball out without making too many errors, something that they haven't been able to do. They're throwing the ball around here, but they just can't afford to take too many errors.
Well, here's a chance now as Beattie gets clear. Plenty of supporter fire. One-hander to Hodges. Hodges loses it. That is the story of the first half as well. You could hear the scream of, oh, no, as that one went astray.
Yeah, it was great work, actually. Great support play. Little offload here from Offia. Rather unlucky, actually, there from Meninga. I mean, he wasn't trying to offload the ball. It was just a bit of bad luck in the tackle.
That I know was from Tommy Evans, our floor manager, Graham. He's right next to me and a mad St George supporter.
Well, at least he's smiling. Barnhill. And line deep again to the back line. Daly dummies to Meninga. Stands almost arrogantly to get it to Bell. Beattie trying to slow things down as Martin gets to his feet. Fritz.
And he's a player that I'm sure Canberra won't want to lose under the salary cap readjustment that they've had. He's a player that's come down from North Queensland, and he gets stronger with every game. And he'll also be put under pressure in the semi-finals by Glenn Lazarus, who made a comeback in reserve grade today.
Just a little bit overweight.
He was a few kilos overweight. In fact, he was pushing the 120-kilogram mark, I'm told. But at least he's back on the paddock a couple of weeks earlier than he was first thought.
120 kilos. They'll never fit him under the salary cap.
He's going to borrow Artie Beetson's clothes, I think, a couple of weeks.
What a bonus he'll be coming back at his best, but Glenn Lazarus just at the right time for them.
Could be perfect timing for the Raiders. He proved himself on the Kangaroo Tour and towards the end of last season, arguably the best front rower in the game. Now this kick getting away from Belcher. No, he cuts it off. He will try and link with Martin. He does it well. Martin beats one, beats two. Plenty of space up the middle. Gets to Potter. He beats him. Super run from Martin. The Green Machine going into top gear. Daly floating it out wide. It goes into reverse.
Jason Gregory on for Canberra. Ricky Stewart off.
So Ricky Stewart gets a break on the sideline after carrying injuries for some weeks now for this Canberra side. They put him in cotton wool in front of a new ground record here, 24,460. The old record set at 23,252 last season against the Tigers.
There might be an omen in there too for the Raiders, because they flogged Balmain last year in setting that previous ground record as well.
Graham, Matthew Baker in 41 on the sideline for Canberra, getting ready to go on, but also Rex Turp for St George. And you talk about the right man for the situation. Turp scored 23 tries in all grades this year, the top try scorer in the club, so one or two timely ones here would be handy.
Yes, the sideline will be a very busy place in the next few minutes as the Saints try and get back. There is a mile of time, around 25 minutes left. Tierney. Positive, strong running from him, last tackle. They're trying to make it interesting. Osborne, off the hands of Meninga, there'll be 6 more. Coyne knocks back. Canberra get it. No advantage for the Saints. Knock on against Meninga. Hardy comes from the field as Turp gets out there.
And Beattie's gone to lock forward.
Interesting with Beattie in there at the back of the pack, the skipper.
They trained this way on Thursday evening, apparently.
Let's see if it comes off just like it did at training. Potter. Upended unceremoniously. 16-2 the Raiders. Turp, his first touch. The Saints desperate, absolutely desperate for a try. Hodges. Peter Coyne. Behind Gill for Osborne. Goulet out amongst the centres. Back it comes for Walford to pick up the dregs. He gets it to Collins. Good defence still from Canberra to keep them covered. Short blindside for Peter Coyne. Up the middle, Tierney. Looking to get it over the top, he couldn't unload. Only 6 metres away, Gill. Short ball from Hodges. A fire was into a gap, but they couldn't use it. The ball has been bouncing for Canberra.
That was very good defence there from Canberra. There was an opportunity for St George out wide, but Canberra moved up quickly to put plenty of pressure on the St George runners, and a bad pass there. You couldn't blame Martin Offiah there for dropping that ball.
I could have.
He was into the slot. If it sticks, he's got 4 points. Clyde. Those handling errors were costly in the first half. They're still costly now. Out on the full. A rare mistake from Canberra. The Saints to come back with it through a handover. Difficult ball out from dummy half for Tierney. Looking a little tired, the Saints.
They look like there's very little talk down there. Bill, can you sense whether the communication is still working at all?
Wayne, I think what's happened is we're all aware they've been penalised pretty severely and they've made a lot of handling mistakes. I think they're just knocked up from tackling, and that's starting to tell. It's that vicious circle. You do a lot of tackling, and when you get the ball back, you haven't got enough energy left to attack. But considering the intensity of the game, they've just got to find it somewhere.
Osborne tries to find it 40 metres away. Peter Coyne has looked the man most likely to put somebody away.
Yeah, Troy Hodges is a good young player, got a good catching and passing game, but at this stage he's got to start and do this, go to the line.
Tries to take them on to give them something to think about, smothered well by Belcher.
Yeah, that wasn't probably the opportunity to do it there. Belcher was standing short, there wasn't much room in behind the line, and Hodges didn't have any players coming through to try and take that ball either.
Yeah, Wayne, I think what he's got to do is not just go to the line and kick, he's got to put himself to the defensive line and, you know, put players into space right at the advantage line.
Nearly midway through the second half. Barthill. Barthill scoots through. A fire chasing from behind. He gets it nicely to Bell. Bell's got Martin. Martin looking to keep it alive. Last tackle. St George are in trouble out wide if they can move it. Just one more tackle. The Saints will try and get there in cover. Daly to Clyde. Clyde back inside for Daly. Daly to Belcher. Belcher might get it. Yes! Belcher in search of some of his best ball. That'll give him the confidence before the semi-finals. He finishes off another long move.
And on the MMI replay, we'll see a very tired St George side here, struggling to get back and cover defend against this Canberra side who's prepared to throw the ball around. Now, plenty of support here. We can see Clyde hovering out wide. Now, Laurie Daly changing the point of attack, coming back into open space, and Belcher coming from the open side, changes the point of attack yet again and goes over for the try.
When Canberra have got you on the rack, their catch and pass is absolutely unsurpassed. Now just sit back and enjoy this. Wonderful passing from one side of the field to the other. They know exactly what they're doing and where their support play is. Now Belcher came from the shadows here to position himself back on the inside of Daly and cross for a fantastic team try.
No doubt about it, and an excitement machine when they are in full gear. And given plenty of possession like they have had today, they are so hard to hold out. He's extra happy about that one, Belcher. The Rugby League Development Officer down here, 29 years of age, a very experienced man and a fine talent. Meninga with the kick. From about a dozen to the side of the post. 1 from 4. In this one, he is focusing right in on the 2 sticks. The focus is fine. The Raiders stretching it now by 20. 22-2 over the Saints. Peter Coyne back with this restart for the Saints. It's becoming a hard afternoon for them. They'll try and mix it up here with a short chip kickoff. But Walters was onto the job there. And Matthew Wood has got out there, replacing Laurie Daly. Now, Coyne with a loose ball. Clear gets it back. But the Saints missed the chance. Ball's knocked on. Knocked into the in goal. It will be back to the 22. Turk put it down. So nearly out of nothing, the Saints with a try.
Yeah, they could have well done with this try here. A great opportunity from Peter Coyne, who makes it into the clear. Now, he wasn't sure whether to pass this ball or not. The last moment he popped it up, but it wasn't quite on. It was a good pass, but Mal Meninga was jolly on the spot.
Well, they certainly have to try anything to try and get back into this game. You saw Laurie Daly's sideline. He's been joined by Bill Anderson.
Laurie, here we are again. You with ice on your foot and me with water dripping down my shoe.
Yeah, mate, starting to get a bit of a thing, but I'm just glad that I think we're going to win this game.
You've got to be pleased with the performance. You came here, a lot of pressure on you, pressure on the team, but the boys have stuck together and they've done the job.
Certainly have. You know, we've been under pressure for the last 5 or 6 weeks, but, you know, we've just stuck at it. And
well, look, I've got to ask you this. Having said that, realistically, can you go on and win the competition? Is the spirit good enough? And in light of all the circumstances, can the team do it?
I think we can. The team spirit in the place is just great. It was even better than the last couple of years. Everyone's just writing us off and saying, about all the... Every week we find something different. You know, the club's getting fined and you know, all the turmoil in the club that's supposed to be happening. But the players just put that out of their back of their minds, mate.
Well, you stay here, enjoy the rest of the game, and I'll go back and dry out this sock.
Thanks, Billy. Sorry, mate.
Peter Coyne still trying to find a gap, still probing, looking for a weak link. Belcher ducks under Gill. Gregory, first man back there, he took it up to the St George forwards.
And Graham, the sun has gone out in front of him because Glenn Lazarus is getting ready to go onto the field.
There'll be a massive roar here as Lazarus makes his way back into first grade.
Believe me, there's plenty of him.
Barnhill put down solidly by Gill. Steve Walters gets the kick in down to a fire. He hasn't had any opportunities. He's going to have to provide his own. But that's the wrong way.
Disorientated, would you say?
Potter
There he is, the incredible Green Holt. Lazarus making his first tackle.
You are on good terms with him, I hope. Collins gets it to Potter. Potter up the middle, kicks ahead, ricochets on Belcher. Turk picks it up.
Been on Graham's diet.
Back it comes for Elliott. Stray ball picked up by Beattie. Quick hands from Goulet to a fire. Clever play to keep that alive for Mark Coyne. Great try to Hardy. Super try to St George. That is excellent hands on a day when their hands haven't been good. But some clever play from Martin the Fire to create space to lay it on.
Yeah, great work by Martin the Fire. On the MMI replay here, we see a great big long pass here out wide, which gives Michael Beattie plenty of room to move. A good quick pass from Goulet as well. Puts the Fire into plenty of open space. Now have a look at the pace here. Great hands. Plenty of support play inside and outside. Good work from Jeff Hardy, who was coming up the middle of the field. He picks up the ball, goes around to improve his position underneath the uprights.
Rick Walford knows that he's got to get on with the job of adding some points. And the Saints back in there with a look at 22-8 with about 13 minutes remaining.
St George got nothing to lose here. They need to put another try on the board very quickly. So we've got to expect them to throw the ball around as much as possible.
Yeah, and the other thing you've got to consider, Wayne, is the fact that Tim Sheens has made all of these replacements. Now, Daly's off the field, Stewart's off the field. Canberra have not got the personnel on, you know, that you'd want if you were coming from behind. They're just trying to hang on to a lead, but St George there, they compounded by making mistakes like the one where they just erred.
Elliott took it up. Was there a hand in there?
It's hard to say that he was going for the ball, but I think he was just trying to make a tackle.
Belcher gets clear. Nobody back. It just opened right up. Gary Belcher gets a double. How quickly it could all come unstuck just when you think you might be trying to put yourself back into a game.
Yeah, great confidence boost here for Gary Belcher, who's had a dreadful season with injuries. The MMI replay will show Belcher standing out wide, throwing in that big left foot step that he's renowned for, showing a good change of pace. No fullback because the fullback was in the line, and he went over unopposed for a try that, if nothing else, is a big confidence booster for Gary Belcher.
Gary Belcher. Well, he still will be letting everybody know that he might want that Australian fullback jumper back.
Just about the story of the game. St George making an error, Canberra capitalising.
Definitely. It was a star-studded bench now. Tim Sheen stuck his hand out there to congratulate Bradley Clyde.
They're close to the salary cap on the bench at the moment, aren't they?
2 from 5 from Meninga. Should be 3 from 6 from in front. It is. And the Raiders now stretching it once more. 28-8 over the Saints. That tells a story about one season or the other, doesn't it? A moment ago we looked at the happy bench of the Raiders. And then the Saints looking down the barrel at the season end. Darren Prince, he's been threatening to do this right throughout the way he's taken it to the line. Look out, get out of my way. What a run from Prince. Now, there should be a try on the end of this, the way he's turned it around for Canberra. They've got numbers if they can stretch it, but a bad ball gives the Saints a chance. Walford will be called back. Harrigan has got them for offside. Walford will have to go all the way back to where Harrigan had played the advantage for Canberra. The crowd have just realised what's happened. And so have about 26 players. The Saints shake their heads. And Bill Harrigan says the rule says 5 metres.
It's not often that you see most of the players playing a separate game to the referee, but that's exactly what we saw then.
Bill Harrigan saved himself a long run.
Michael Beattie standing alongside him, shattered by the fact that they nearly had a try. way down the other end. 50% for Meninga. This one from in front. He adds 2 more points. They climb to the 30. The Raiders 30-8 over St George. Meninga might be headed to the blood bin if Bill Harrigan can get sight of him. Brian Smith, who has done such a great job with the Saints, unfortunately comes to realise that it stops in the very last round of the Winfield Cup of '91. Martin. About 8 minutes remaining. Todd. The beaten side in the Test series, Todd played well for New Zealand. And with Lazarus missing for so many games for the Raiders this year, he has been a key man amongst the forwards.
He has, and the other player that really has lifted his performances this year, and he's gone on leaps and bounds, has been Darren Fritz. I mean, he's a player that the Raiders can't afford to lose. Unfortunately, the Raiders are going to have to lose some players with the salary cap that has been lowered for next year, but I'm sure Fritz won't be one of those players that they'll lose.
Potter. He steps Fritz. Tries to pay him one back. Fritz tried to run straight over the top of him.
I know who my money be on there.
A fire to Mark Coyne. Goulet. Back to Walford. You can't blame any St George player now in a situation where they're just looking to pop passes wherever they are.
Yeah, Ricky Walford here just looking to offload and try and keep the ball alive. But that's really been the story of the day for St George. They made too many errors in the first half. They gave away too many penalties in the first half. As a result, they found themselves behind on the scoreboard and in a catch-up situation from which they never recovered.
Fritz again. Non-stop the way he's taken it to the line. Belcher. Belcher wrapped up 32 metres out. Raw for Lazarus as he takes it up. The kick in behind the line. Here comes Martin. He's onside. The bounce tells the story of a day where the Raiders celebrate the return to the semi-final action in front of a new ground record crowd. What a day for the Green Machine.
Yeah, plenty of luck going the Raiders' way this year. Great play, well-placed kick from Mal Meninga on the MMI replay. We can see Paul Martin coming through. Beautiful bounce, and he picked it up and went over for the easiest of tries.
Anyone that had written Canberra off in 1991 better revise their thinking. They're displaying all of their talents here. Here the kick ahead by Meninga put it perfectly into position for Martin, who came through, scooped it up and finished it off.
He is an excellent finisher, Paul Martin. 11 tries for him this season. The Saints will think of better things for 1992, but they have provided plenty of excitement and entertainment for their fans this year as well. 4 from 7 for Meninga. Finding his touch late in the second half. He drilled that. Sensational goal. Meninga adds another 2 in an awesome display from Canberra, 36-8. It's just about all round for the Raiders as they get everybody down there and make sure that they look after themselves for the semi-finals. Belcher. Bell wrestling with some defenders. 4 minutes remaining.
When you look at the pretty ordinary start Canberra had, you just wonder how difficult it must have been for them in the off-season. They had players on the Kangaroo Tour, they'd won 2 premierships and probably didn't have their mind on the job as much as they might have, but they're playing their best football now that we get towards the semi-finals. They know when it counts.
Steve Walters stepping out of one. Good short support too amongst the forwards again. Lazarus was there. Meninga kicking, chipping. Potter will have to come back up. The ball bounces his way. He slips. Meninga goes for it. He loses it. Gets it back 6 more. We still might have time for tries here. Gary Coy. He's back out there for Steve Walters. Ducking under one tackle, getting 11 metres away. Blindside for Coy. Good defence from Tanning. Now Goulet trying to finish him off. The Raiders. What a hungry side they are. They want more. Fritz trying to power his way over. He reached out. Double movement. Harrigan said his momentum was stopped short of the line. He deserved to try. What an effort from him.
Yeah, plenty of strength here. Took 3 of them. They still struggled to stop him, but Bill Harrigan says his momentum was stopped before he reached out for the try, and I think Harrigan was right.
Yeah, he had a hide to even think about it.
And the scoreline's that it is, I think we all would have been tempted. And it looks like we're heading for a playoff on Tuesday night. So that action will come your way, the match in full on 10 Sport. 8:30 till 10:30 Tuesday night, don't miss it. The drama continuing in this Winfield Cup of 1991. And the semi-finals, of course, again. The matches in full, Saturday and Sunday, 6:30 to 8:30.
Matthew Elliott had some problems there, Graham, with the shoulder. He's had an injury-ridden match, actually, injury-stricken match. He cut a cheekbone in the first half and in some difficulty with a shoulder injury. That's what happens when you're injured and you try and play the ball.
Meninga. Martin. Not enough room down the sideline. Now he gets put out, but it's a penalty. Meninga will think of the fans here and probably go for the try.
Might think of his players and kick the goal.
No, they want another 4 points. Well and truly tackled. Penalty had to come. Boyd. Meninga still going, a fire misses him. Look at the power. Oh, look out semi-finals. Look out everybody in the Winfield Cup. Here they come again.
Yeah, Graham, the Cuban bulldozer. He plays under the name of Mal Meninga. He's 17.5 stone. He's a giant. He gives himself plenty of depth when he comes onto the ball. We can see here the big pen, the big heave-ho for Jeff Hardy. Martin Afire, he doesn't want too much of the action either. Tierney comes over late, but Mal Meninga just far too strong.
There is nothing left to be said after that.
It was an awesome display of strength. He just made merry.
I'm sure the St George players would have loved to have seen him in the head bin. The blood bin, actually.
Yeah, well, that was the point. There was a point that he could have been sent to the bin and not been there for that try. 5 from 8. Found his mark in the second half. Mal Meninga. Standing tall on a day that has been quite sensational for Canberra. Now he has already kicked one from out here at his last chance at the goals. Wedley puts the power behind this ball.
Isn't it amazing what great players can do when it counts?
The atmosphere is right. The crowd are almost willing him to finish this game on another high. He's just provided it with a try, but he strays this one to show everybody just how human he is. But what an unbelievable performance from this Canberra Raiders side to blow the Saints away. Blow away a St George side who have had a great season themselves. Timmy Sheen still has a chance. They've still got one hand on the Winfield Cup. They're not letting go. And they're saying that they're going to make it 3. Some superb tries here today from the Raiders. Bell, Mullins, Meninga got 2. Belcher got a double, giving